Okay, so welcome everyone. Let's make it official for the recording. So yeah, this week we are looking at allies. So how did you all get on with the allies homework?
I didn't get very far.
I'll be honest, I haven't done any. I'm sorry. Just
No
been
worries
flat
at
out.
all. Lauren?
Did quite well.
Yeah,
I had some good old yarns with mine, so it was good.
amazing. Well, to be honest, allies, the discovery process of finding your leader, in a sense, is very similar to discovering and finding your allies. So, you know, the process we talked about in terms of looking at sort of different situations that we've been in where we might have behaved in a certain way, or we had some strong positive emotions that arose and a certain energy that we connected to in that moment. So essentially, like, our allies are like the crew or an extension of the leader. So almost imagine a captain and its crew, although that's a bit confusing because next week we will look at our crew, which is actually the physical people that are actually in our lives. So you can maybe these are like imaginary crew of the leader within you, essentially. So it's all about connecting to different energies that we all have access to. And so, or you could also look at different layers that we all have access to within ourselves. And sometimes we might not think there's a certain energy or behavior that we have. Maybe there's something in strength, or you know, for example, someone who doesn't feel very confident in a certain situation, or someone who feels a little bit shy, but actually there's probably a part of you that you can tap into that will give you that energy to move forward into that situation, to deal with that situation. So what I would like to do today is I would like to share my allies with you and how I reach those, although I don't want you to be like overwhelmed when you look at my vision board, because my vision board is based on, you know, all the work that I've done around this, but today it was really just about seeing if we could connect with one of our allies, so the appreciator, for example. So this is this sort of a non-judgmental ally that we can connect to, who is that sort of strong person that you can be supported by in a situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, maybe I can screen share. Let's have a look.
I did start a vision board. As I thought of some images, I went just quickly online to find some. So I've just dropped them into a Word document at the moment.
Okay, great. Well, that's a really good start. And how did you connect to those images? Or
can I show you?
Yeah, go for it.
I will try.
Yeah.
Oh no, host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Let me see if I can.
Because I don't really know what a vision board is, so this is what I've done.
I can make you a host, and then you might be able to do it.
Okay.
Let's have a look.
Okay.
Choosing up in the word, Carol.
Right. So these were some images I came up with. So is that showing?
Yeah, that's showing. That's great.
So the Buddha one is because I think Buddhas always look really peaceful and calm and in the moment. Carrots, healthy eating. Primrose, I was born on Primrose Day, and on social media I call myself Primrose. Mountains, because I just love being in the mountains. This is a cafe bakery because I have this dream of maybe one day having a small cafe. And Joanna Lumley is somebody I admire, sort of her way of being, and her just being so nice and gentle with everybody, and also being confident without being aggressive, and knowing what she wants, and she supports other people. So I admire her.
That's really interesting, actually, because I've got a bit of a sense for her character based on, you know, some of her documentaries and stuff she's put on TV, and the mountains and the sort of the peaceful calmness actually that you picked in those pictures are sort of representative of her. So perhaps she will become one of your allies.
Maybe. Well, we went to Japan and we did a little bit of one of the walks that she had done. So yeah, I'm being Joanna.
So yeah, you know, our allies, again, it's about picking someone or something, a metaphor that is inspirational to you, that you're drawn to, something that you feel you can really connect with. So I'm just going to show you my vision board. So I'll probably have to, actually, how do I can still screen share, I think. Oh no, host disabled participant.
Oh, have I got to give it to you now?
I think so.
Any ideas how?
If you click on the little dots in my the right corner of my screen, I think you then click on that and make host.
I haven't got any dots.
So if you hover on my screen,
oh, sorry.
If you're in gallery
view, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. There you go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so there's quite a lot going on here, but this is what you'd all be working towards, and you don't necessarily need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 allies. You know, you might just have a couple, but this is just to give you like a feel and a taste to the different energies you can connect to. So because of my background in yoga and I'm interested in Hindu mythology, my leader within is the goddess Shakti, and Shakti actually means energy in Sanskrit. And so if you can see around all of the pictures, I've kind of put the names of the goddesses, but I've also put sort of words that I can connect to. So it's these words sort of almost represents energies that I'd like to connect to, but also like essentially affirmations that I can use to remind myself of those different allies. But also color is pretty important to me too. So all of those other Hindu goddesses are basically extensions of the goddess Shakti. So in Hindu mythology, the goddess Shakti almost reincarnates into these different goddesses. So they're all energy, but they're different types of energy. But also I did add a couple of extra little things here. So my appreciator, for example, like a non-judgmental person that I decided to pick was my mother. So my mother is no longer around, but she was like the most kind and compassionate person like I've ever known. And yeah, you know, I could always talk to her about anything. And so I love that energy. And I don't think, yeah, she might have been judgmental like a couple of times, but generally like she was quite a non-judgmental person. And she was the type of person that everyone would always go to for support, basically. And I really love that energy. And I guess maybe my sort of one of my values is connection and community, and I think maybe I've gotten that from my mum, so she's definitely an inspiration to me. But all of my allies that I've picked, so for example the goddess Lakshmi, she's the goddess of wealth and beauty. One of the affirmations and the words that I can connect to is I am abundant. And so abundance is a word, I suppose. It doesn't just mean wealth. It can be, you can have an abundance in health, you can have an abundance in love. And so that's something that I want to bring more of it into my life, and it's an important value to me. The goddess Kali is quite a more of a masculine energy. I think if you look at the image, you can see they're standing on something, and they've got like swords and stuff in she's got swords in her hands, so quite sort of aggressive. And when I first saw this image, I was a bit unsure but then there was something about the power of the image, and then I realized that it's very metaphorical in the sense she's the destroyer of demons, but literally the destroyer of the demons is the destroyer of the ego. So it's, for me, a lot of work that I'm doing around at the moment is being able to surrender and let go of certain situations that I feel that I'm maybe being a bit controlling in. So if I can bring in the image of Kali at times where I feel that I'm being overly controlling, or, you know, really sort of feeling resistance because I'm trying to control the outcome of the situation, then yeah, hopefully by bringing about this idea of choosing to surrender, yeah, it's going to sort of lend me well in that situation, essentially. So yeah, that's the goddess Kali, and then I've talked about Lakshmi. Then again, the other ones are very similar. So Gayatri, she's the spiritual goddess, so it's all about sort of being connected. And Parvati is also the manifesting power in all women, so again, it's connecting to power. And I wanted to add in fairies as well, because playfulness is something that I'd like to bring a lot more of into my life. And maybe, yeah, maybe that resonates all a little bit more with you, the fairies, because we all had those in our childhood, didn't we? And sometimes I feel like I'm not a very creative person. So I think sometimes I just need to remind myself of being more playful in my life, and then I can bring more creativity into it. So I feel that those are all quite sort of experiential. But there are also other allies that we can connect to through feeling, like physically. So in the bottom hand corner here, I've talked about my breath. So when I connect with my breath in the present moment, I really do bring a sense of calmness about me and a sense of groundedness as well. So when you connect with your breath and you connect with your body, that again is also an ally. It doesn't, so this is just what I'd like to show you, that you don't necessarily have to have like a visual image of something if that is what you're struggling to connect with. You could just say, actually, my breath and my body are my allies that I can connect to, that can help me to, yeah, be the best version of myself in that particular situation. So have any of you got any questions at all around what I've shown you? How do you feel about that?
I think it's really interesting that yours are all goddesses.
Mm.
And I love all the colours in them.
Yeah, it's very interesting. They're all goddesses. Yeah, it's funny because Natalie always says I'm very much in the feminine energy. And yeah, I probably, that's the one thing actually, is that I probably could do with balancing my feminine energy out a little bit more sometimes by bringing more masculine energy in, that's for sure. So I feel like my small addition to that is like the goddess Kali, because I felt like she was a lot more masculine, but I probably could do with balancing it out a little bit more. That's something I'm working on. Still
Yeah,
a work in progress.
That one looks a bit scary when you first look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, and color, you know, let's not forget there's so many different ways that we can connect to things in the world. It's not just words, it's colors as well, you know. It all depends on the type of I don't know if learner is the right word to use, but you know, we all connect in different ways, don't we? So some people are very visual, so color would be a really great way of trying to connect with your ally and with your leader. But some people, words is very powerful as well. So that's what I just wanted to show you, that there are different ways we can connect here. Anyone else want anything else to ask about the vision board?
Do you find it quite easy to use these as part of everyday life, being so mystical?
I wouldn't connect to them to like every single day. There's there's definitely certain ones that I will connect to more, and it all depends on what's going on in my life as well. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's difficult because they're quite mystical. So again, it's whether you can connect with those images and those energies, right? But once you gain, I think that's why it's important for you all to connect with the things that you feel are familiar with you, because none of this might resonate with you because maybe you don't feel a connection to those mythical goddesses, if you know what I mean. But it's, for me, it was really interesting to do this, and I really enjoyed doing it too. And it was just a way for me to deepen my connection with with yoga as well, essentially. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see the different like personality traits will come out in the vision boards. Like you said, it has to come from yourself. You have to be able to resonate with the images. So looking at someone else's shouldn't really change yours, because it's my vision is going to be different to yours. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just nice to see. Yours is so colorful.
Yes.
Well, I do love wearing colors. I love wearing bright colors as well. I always have done. So maybe that's just something about my personality, I suppose. But yeah, I'll stop the screen share now. So yeah, I don't want that to be something that's going to scare you or put you off, but it was just to give you just a taste of what you can do. And as Lauren said, it's about you connecting with what you feel is really important to you. So I think it might be useful for us to do a visualization. And in the visualization, I'd like you to try and connect with an ally of some sort, if you can. If it doesn't appear in the visualization, that's okay. But it'll just be interesting for you to see if something does arise. And if something does arise, that's great, because that's the first step, essentially. But I know that Natalie mentioned that actually connecting to the appreciator might be a first positive step for you to all move towards. So an ally that's non-judgmental, would that be an easy enough task, or would you like to connect to a different ally? It doesn't have to be the appreciator.
I'm willing to give it a go with the appreciator.
Okay. All right, everyone. Well, let's get ourselves just nice and comfortably seated. It's a bit of a meditation as well. So if you want to turn your screens off as well, you can do that too. No worries at all. Okay, so I just invite you all just to gently close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, let's just begin now by just gently settling in, just arriving in the space, and just gently feeling the support of your body against the ground, the earth and the chair and the seat, wherever you are. And just allowing your whole body to soften. And then I'd like you to take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Perhaps gently draw the shoulders towards the ears. And gently exhale out the mouth. And then another nice deep inhale through the nose. Again, shoulders towards the ears. And then again, exhaling gently, allowing those shoulders to drop away. Let's take another nice deep inhale. And exhale very gently. Allow the whole body to relax and soften. And then I just like your breath just to come to a sense of steadiness. So just gently inhaling and exhaling in and out of the nose, if you can. And I just like you just to spend just a minute just focusing on the steadiness of your breath. And just focusing on the steadiness of your breath is just going to bring a sense of calm, of being in this present moment, of clarity. Just allowing ourselves to settle. Perhaps bringing your attention to your nostrils as you focus on your breath. And as you allow your breath to be settled now, I'd now like you to visualize and imagine that you are stood at the bottom of a hill, a green hill, and it's relatively sunny. And it's quite a big hill, and the environment feels warm. And just for a moment, just taking in the sounds. Perhaps you can hear birds, maybe there's a gentle wind. Do you pick up on any smells? How does the temperature feel against your skin? And then perhaps just for a moment as well, just maybe take stepping down and just touching the ground with your hand for a moment, just to get a sense of the texture of the space that you are in. And just taking a good look round. And then just gently step up from where you've been kneeling. And you just, as you're at the bottom of the hill, just look up to the top of the hill now. And as you look up to the top of the hill, you can see a figure that stood at the top of that hill. And I'd just like you to imagine that this hill is a situation, a current situation that you are having to deal with at the moment. Maybe it's a slightly difficult situation, or maybe it's something at work, outside of the work, maybe something that's a little bit of a struggle. But I'd like you to start walking up that hill, walking up that struggle. And as you walk up that hill, slowly and gently, what sort of things would you say to yourself to aid you in that struggle? What sort of energy would you be feeling as you go up that hill with that struggle? So just like you to spend just a couple of moments of thinking of the situation, thinking of the words, and perhaps thinking of the colours associated with that as well. And then you're just slowly climbing, you're about halfway up now. And with a non-judgmental perspective, how would you deal with that situation? So you keep walking and walking. So the last bit seems to feel quite difficult. But you manage to do it. You keep repeating those words. You see those colors. And then you finally get to the top of that hill. And at the top of the hill, there is a figure stood there smiling at you. You walk towards the figure. How does that figure look? This figure is your appreciator. Are they tall? Are they short? What clothes are they wearing? How does their character feel? What color are their eyes? And what color is their hair? And what words are they telling you of encouragement, having reached the top of this hill? How does it make you feel? Think about the energy that you're connecting to in this moment. Who might this ally be So I'm just going to give you just another minute or so just to connect with this appreciator. Who is the appreciator? What do they look like? What colours are they wearing? What words are they saying? Did they aid you in walking up this big hill? Did they support you? So you and this figure, your appreciator, decide to walk down the hill together. And you're just talking with each other. And then you gently reach the bottom of the hill. And you just gently thank your appreciator for supporting you in this moment. And the appreciator just gently places their hand on your shoulder and just gives you that loving, kind, supportive smile. And just says, I'll see you next time. So you gently just walk away from this hill and just come back into your whole body. And then just take another deep inhale and an exhale. Another inhale and an exhale. And when you're ready, or just gently opening your eyes. And as you gently open your eyes, just coming back into the room. As you come back into the room, you can just have a little chat to see how that felt for you. Who would like to share first? Should I pick someone?
I can share. I'm happy to share. That was interesting. The person that showed up was not who I expected.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I have a friend who I met on a random trip. And he tends to pop up in the strangest places. Like I was in Vegas for a wedding and I bumped into him, and then I was in Central America and we ran into each other, and he just seems to be there when I've needed someone to tell me that, like, you are okay. Yeah. Yeah, so that was interesting.
Yeah, you know what, sometimes the people we think we need actually are not the people we really need, but it's the people that we least expect it. So that's really interesting that came up for you.
Very strange.
Well, I would sit with that, you know, because he could potentially be one of your allies.
I would believe that. I think, you know, you have those genuine connections with people that you meet, and like you've had a past life with them or something. There's something that just connects you instantly, and it wouldn't surprise me if I walk down the street and I bump into him again. It's just that kind of thing. But I wouldn't have put him in that place in my mind. That's interesting.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I would definitely, I definitely sit with that.
Yeah. Will do.
Carol?
Well, when you said think of a hill, and from what we were speaking about earlier, I picked the Long Mynd. And so I could feel the rocks and the stream running over the rocks at the bottom. And then as I was going up the hill, there was always, every now and then, there was a fork in the path. And one path went down and the other path carried on going up. And so there was always a choice to make, and I always took the upward path. And I couldn't quite get a picture of the person at the top. And when you said what colour hair have they got, I have no idea. And eyes, I have no idea. It was just this, it was a female figure in sort of a floaty dress, not quite a fairy, more grown up than a fairy, more adult-like, but I couldn't get any further than that with the image of that appreciator.
Maybe some sort of elf or something. I was thinking of some sort of like Lord of the Rings character just then.
Oh, who did Kate Blanchett play?
Galadriel, wasn't it?
I don't really know the story well enough, but I'll have to have a look at some images from there.
She was a queen, if that helps.
Oh, that
Or
would
a
be
princess.
ideal, wouldn't it? Queen power, yeah.
So did you connect with sort of, words then, feelings around that?
Well, I got a couple of situations going on that I want to work towards, and it was more focused around the decisions of and how to get there and how to be in talking to other people to get the support that I need to get to the top of the hill, and with her guiding me on the way up.
Amazing. Well, yeah, you're definitely on your way to picking up your ally there, just doing a little bit more work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Donna?
Yeah, so my hill was in Castleton in the Peak District randomly, just because it's one of my favourite hills in the Peak District. And it was a really sunny day, and I couldn't see the appreciator for quite some time, but then it came to me, and my challenge or difficult situation is to do with my son, who's a bit of a monkey. And I remember when my brother was growing up, he was a bit of a monkey, and he was just a handful. And anyway, it obviously soon passed, but the appreciator was my brother, because obviously it was kind of almost, a realization that it's just a phase that will pass almost. Do you know what I mean? And he was offering me that guidance, saying, get through this. I was a menace, but look at me now. He's super normal now. It was just a phase. But yeah, it was my brother wearing a check shirt, which is really random. He doesn't wear check shirts. My dad wears check shirts, so that was really strange.
Something about the familiarity and comfort of connecting with family members, that sort of safety net.
Yeah, possibly.
Perhaps. Yeah, maybe connecting with that a little bit more and seeing if we get a bit deeper into that.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be anything mythical or crazy. It can be anything you want it to be, because I think I remember Sam saying last week about her leader, which connects into everything that we're doing at the moment, but she's sort of was connecting with her higher self, and you can potentially do that by connecting to your future self. So that's something I try and use as well. I try and visualize and imagine the person that's me in, like, I don't know, a few years time, and what I might look like and how I might act, and that's your true self, because we've all got it within us already. We've got all those inner tools and resources, but sometimes it's just finding moments that we can connect a little bit more with the subconscious, definitely, and then bringing it into the conscious reality. That's for sure. I'm going to copy and paste some questions into the chat. 1 second. Which I think it'd be nice for us to discuss in pairs. Right. So these are some of the questions, interview questions that were in the homework. So it might be nice for us all to, yeah, just in pairs to discuss these and perhaps discuss them in relation to perhaps the appreciator that arose today. But if you don't want to discuss that appreciator, it can be something else, but just to help you to, yeah, connect with it. So, okay, let me try and do the breakout room situation. Great. Let's see. Okay. Hang on a second. Yes.
Hi.
Okay, so how did you feel about those questions? I've just popped them up on the side here now.
I obviously haven't got to that part in the homework yet because I didn't recognise them.
Well, it's good just to kind of touch on them today, really, and see what comes up, really. So your appreciator that came up today.
Okay.
What are they here to teach you, do you think?
I don't know if an appreciator would teach things, maybe more a way of being.
So is it teaching you to be?
Yeah, because I'm realizing lately when things don't go right or I do something wrong, what can I learn from it rather than, oh, that was rubbish, can't do that. It's like, well, what can I learn from it? And then next time not make the same mistake or not make it as bad or something like that. So maybe that would, I think, come under appreciator and teaching of how to be.
That's really interesting because I do that so much more now with different situations that arise. You know, things in the past would just happen and I didn't really reflect too much on the impact.
Yeah, just sort of move on.
Whereas now I think especially since like my mum died, I was like, oh, well, there's always a lesson to learn from every experience. And then from each experience, you can grow as a human being as well.
Yeah, for sure. And my husband's pretty good at that because I'm so down on myself. That's what he started to say now. Don't worry, what can you learn from it? That's quite good to have him saying that to me as well. It's
a nice way of reframing the situation, isn't it?
Yeah, not you failed. It's like, what have you learned? Yes.
And the role, what is your role in my life?
Well, that could be very similar, I think. The role is, to appreciate you can make mistakes, but it's fine to make mistakes because you can learn from them.
Yeah, very true. And again, yeah, it's the appreciator. It's also someone who's non-judgmental. So again, it's, if you've got a particular sort of negative perspective, it's about also looking at stepping back and taking a neutral stance on it and seeing the other perspective, or the many perspectives you could look at it.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, not to give up just because it went wrong once. Just try again with some amendments. Review, do, and act, isn't it, or something? I can't remember the actual phrase, but yeah.
And what can you tell me about your values?
Ooh.
That one's a little bit more difficult, isn't it?
Yes. Well, my top value in the quiz that I did was security, and then health.
Do you think I was just thinking in terms of security, this idea of, learning from your mistakes. If you're taking that positive spin on it, in a way that can give you a sense of security as well, because it's not necessarily a negative outcome.
Yeah, it's a safe environment to make a mistake in. Yeah.
Yes, interesting looking at things in these different ways, isn't it?
It is. And what I didn't realize with this course was how much downtime I need to process things.
Well, I think, once when we finish the course, Natalie will always say, actually, you just keep going back over this stuff as many times as you need to, because you'll be changing everyone's always changing. So when you change, that's a good opportunity to revisit your values and your life purpose, and to keep doing this work. You're making that conscious decision to do the work. So
I was on holiday last week and I started reading Untamed, and I messaged Natalie a couple of times because it was so interesting. And then I got to a point I was just overwhelmed by how much content was in it that I was relating to, and I had to stop reading it.
Maybe not quite the right time.
I don't know. I felt it was because I had time to read. I was at home. I always say I want to read and I don't read. Yeah, I did have to stop, or pause, not stop, and get back to it.
I think that's what I meant. Yes, like I've had certain books that I've started reading at certain points, and I had to stop for whatever reason. And I felt like maybe it wasn't that right time in my life for whatever reason to be reading that work. And then now I've revisited that stuff. I'm like, this is the right time now for me.
Yes, yeah. What I want to do is complete it and then read it again, maybe a bit slower. Yeah.
I would say then, what can your appreciator tell you about your life purpose?
Well, I'm certainly just discovering that at the moment. And last October I started a course which I finished. I had to finish it within the 12 months to get the completion certificate, and I've done that now. So my appreciator would say, well done for sticking with it and completing it, because as far as I know, none of the other students have.
So in a way, this course is sort of moving you closer to your life purpose.
Yes, because it's nutrition. Yes.
Yeah. So your appreciator is obviously cheering you on to keep going, with what's important to you in your life, which is obviously moving towards doing this work with food.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So I guess that's very similar. So in what kinds of situations may it be useful to use me to support you in your daily life?
That's similar. I mean, I put in for some more holiday today on my first day back to do the next part of my course.
Yeah.
So, just keep taking the small positive steps, I think appreciator would say.
Yeah.
Like we're going up the hill with the paths, I can choose to carry on or I can choose not to. And she's there at the top. So if I choose the downward path, I won't get there.
Yeah. And also being confident in the decisions that you make. And as you said as well, learning from the choices and the decisions you make about the paths you take too.
Yes.
Part of the process, isn't it?
Yes.
Right, I'm going to bring us all back together now.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries at all. Yeah, they've probably got another 30 seconds or so in the breakout room.
With your vision board, was that relatively easy for you?
Yes, it was, but I think because I've done what a lot of this work around connecting with sort of allies and words and colours. The last couple of years I've spent quite a bit of time doing this sort of work, so I think that's why it came quite easily to me. But maybe, I don't know, because I was talking to Natalie about this as well, and I think for her, she found this part harder.
Okay.
Whereas I found this part easier. So the value stuff I found a bit more difficult. So it's interesting how it may be like personality as well.
Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you. Hey.
How did you all get on?
Very good.
Were those questions helpful?
I think so. I think that the hill analogy with the current struggle confuses the guide a little bit into a situational guide as opposed to the appreciator that will always show up. Not sure if that particular vision of that particular guide will always be the same. I definitely feel like I need them in this situation. Whether it will always be the appreciator, the same appreciator that shows up, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's why actually. So using the visualization of the hill is one visualization that you can use to connect and approach a struggling situation as an example, but it doesn't have to be a hill. But that was an example that I gave for you to try and connect to something. So you could visualize a totally different environment. You could visualize a forest or a beach or whatever you want it to be, basically something that's going to help you feel really connected. Yeah, that makes sense in a way. Donna, how did you find that?
Yeah, good. I think like Lauren, I agree, because it was my brother, and we're not very close. Although when we see each other, we are. But I'm not sure that he's my constant appreciator. I think he's just just one for this situation.
Yeah, and I think I was saying to Carol, with all this work that we're doing, we're always changing, right? So your values and your allies and your appreciators and your crew will change as well as you change. So we're always doing this work. So none of this is set in stone, basically. And it's just to give you those tools to start being able to connect to these tools in this way. And you can change things whenever you want them to. There's nothing telling you it has to be this way. That makes sense. So actually, just before we finish, I just wanted to very, very, very briefly introduce the next module, which we'll be going on to next week, which will be consciously choosing your crew. So the people that you put in your front row in your life, so the physical people. So, and this is nothing imaginary now. So yeah, this will be really interesting. Like, some people find this work quite easy because you'll probably already have people in your lives that are supporting you in different roles in your life, or some people at this stage decide, because they are sort of renegotiating their values and they're changing their values, that you might have to put more boundaries in. And sometimes when you put more boundaries in with people, that's when actually sometimes you have to change who is in your front row, basically. So for me, definitely, I find the boundary work difficult because I'm a bit of a people pleaser. So still doing this work, but I definitely found that quite a few of my friends that I already have are still in my front row, and they were in my front row when I chose them. But it was interesting looking at some of the family members that I did have in my front row, and because I've had quite a lot happen in the last few years with my family, I did sort of change that around a little bit, and it was a bit tough looking at that, because sometimes I know we unconditionally love our family, of course, but sometimes we have to put more boundaries in with them. So yeah, that's where we'll be moving on to next week. But don't worry, because it might all seem like this is all happening very quickly, and we still haven't connected with our allies, but just keep doing the allies work in the background as well, and just keep doing the leaders work in the background whilst we're looking at our crew as well. You'll probably find you'll be connecting with your crew quite easily. So if you do have any questions at all about the work that we've done today, or with the crew work or the leader work, just contact me, and Natalie will be more than happy to respond to you. I think Natalie has also asked about booking in one-to-one coaching sessions with her. So I know that you're due to book them in, or sorry?
I had a session with her a couple of weeks ago. Are we allowed more than one session?
Maybe this was in reference to people that hadn't booked.
Maybe.
Session, perhaps. But you can always ask her.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a check-in or a session. Or, yeah.
I would just reconfirm with her. Okay, everyone, and any sort of final thoughts or questions around what we've done today?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, it was great leading you guys today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.